everyone. I welcome you to the second episode of our new series, Futuristic Education, brought to you by Edudevs, School of Inspired Teaching and Learning, and powered by Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham University. I, Kuhika Dhingra, on behalf of Edudevs, present to you our esteemed panelists who have gathered for an enriching deliberation on empowering the teacher workforce. Honored to welcome Ms. Sanjana Bakshi Datta, Principal, DAV Public School, RK Puram, Delhi, an astute educationist with a career of more than 20 years. She is highly admired for her excellent leadership and expertise. She has several publications under her hat and dedicatedly works towards teacher empowerment. Ms. Bakshi has been conferred with several awards, including the Golden Globe Education Award 2022, Best Promising Principal of Year 2022, Dynamic Principal of Year 2021 by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Education Excellence Award, and has also been nominated for the Padma Shri 2022 for notable contribution in the field of education. Next, I heartily welcome Ms. J.S. Kavita, Assistant Professor, Department of English, School of Engineering, Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham University. With an experience of more than 11 years, her professional objective is to identify the communication and training needs of the student community and work towards providing the best possible support and solution. She believes that a teacher's primary responsibility is to mold the students into better human beings who would be socially responsible individuals. An MSc degree holder in psychology, Ms. Kavita has received several awards for her achievements and is highly renowned as a freelance soft skills and corporate etiquette trainer. We welcome you to the panel discussion today, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor.
I proudly welcome and introduce our moderator, Ms. Devyani Kapoor, a former principal, author, and passionate edu leader. Ms. Kapoor carries over 3 decades of experience in the education sector. A pragmatic thought leader, she is the founder and CEO of Edudevs, School of Inspired Teaching and Learning. Accredited Iconic Edupreneur of the Year Award in World Education Awards 2021 by INSEAD and Space, she is renowned for introducing numerous innovative pedagogical techniques and creating new benchmarks in the field of education. Ms. Kapoor is passionate for empowering the educators and equipping them with the pedagogical tools to conquer the various challenges of a 21st century classroom. Once again, I welcome all of you who have just joined, and I would like to let you know that any questions that you may have, you can put them in the chat and we shall address during the session and towards the end of the session as well. And now I hand over the baton to our moderator, Ms. Devyani Kapoor.
Thank you so much, Kuhika. Am I audible? Hello, am I audible? A warm welcome from my end to all our esteemed panelists and especially to my dear educators. Everyone who remembers his own education remembers his or her educators and not just their methods and teaching techniques. Teacher actually lies at the heart of the teaching learning process. We see that in the last decade or so, there have been many debates on what makes a good teacher. We all know that teacher is a critical component in this process, in the education system. But what makes a good teacher? Let's see, is it their qualifications or their seniority or probably the remuneration? It could be the working conditions or the functional autonomy that a system provides to the teacher. Or last but not the least, is it the unwavering commitment, the desire to go beyond the call of the duty makes a good teacher? There are conflicting opinions about these questions, but there is very little research on what can really turn the system around to enable teachers to become dedicated 21st century professionals. We see that the NEP realizes the contribution of teacher in fostering quality education, and it emphasizes teachers as the torch bearers of the change. Teachers play a critical role in the success of their students. That is universally accepted, both academically and in regard to long-term outcomes and economic and social attainment. Expectations for the teachers, however, are increasing due to changing learning standards and a rapidly diversifying student population. The 21st century has evolved. It has revolutionized the whole pattern of lifestyle and hence touched education per se in a big way. It provides them, students, with experiences that will put them on the path of future success. But helping them develop, promoting and maintaining good professional teaching force from primary to upper secondary. The question is, are our teachers prepared for this? The last 2 years of the academic challenges have proven that educators have come a long way. They overnight became tech savvy. They have adopted and adapted to the changing scenarios in the classrooms. And this has actually brought to the fore the need for their empowerment. The National Education Policy 2020 also emphasizes 50 hours of CPD to strengthen them. Let us discuss the gaps and the path forward with our esteemed panelists. We first begin with the ice-breaking question. Same question would be addressed to all our panelists. My question is that India's landmark right of education to freedom and Compulsory Education Act of 2019 guarantees education to all children aged between 6 and 14 years. The Act mandates specific student-teacher ratio and emphasizes teacher quality. Writing this into legislation took 7 years, but the years since has proven that ensuring effective teachers are recruited and placed in all schools. With the advancement of studies in education and the TETs in place in almost all states and CTETs by CBSE, there has been a major shift towards quality recruitment in the schools. However, the gap still persists. My question is, what do you think is required to empower the teacher force? I move to Ms. Kavita. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, one and all the participants and the panelists. It's indeed an honor to be part of this. Thank you, Edudevs, for this opportunity, and Amrita too. As ma'am was just giving an introduction, to focus on the ice-breaking session is what is requirement, what is the requirement is the question. So I would start my whatever I have understood from my experience, I would start from what ma'am mentioned it as the last but not the least point. Going a step ahead, not just what is provided, as far as my knowledge goes, taking that extra mile, an extra step, that kind of a commitment to go beyond is one requirement that is the most needed. So what is this step could be defined differently by different people. So when we just look at it, we were talking about like the past 2 years, we were all like equipped technically. we are lucky indeed because we have not come to a standstill. Thanks to technology, we are just coping with what's happening, and in spite of worse conditions, we keep moving. There is totally no stagnation as far as education is concerned. In a way, it's just moving forward. So we are equipping ourselves technically. Different schools or different institutions, they are just putting forth the effort to train their teachers technically, and they are equipping themselves. But there is a gap, true, but it's based on, as per the report of any this, it's the different sectors have their own day, be it a government sector or private sector or the different boards of education. The gap varies from each board to other. In some places there are teachers, but it's bringing students to school is a challenge in certain areas. Even that is true in when you talk about a rural background. On the other side, when we talk about the most advanced scenario, everything is provided, but still the satisfaction is missing. There is not kind of a, as you said, we just go and find the best of the brains and bring them to our schools as educators, but still something else is lacking. What would be that? So in my point of view, I would say I would say that it's all the lack of a value based system is what I feel from my side. Technology, true, is developing. We are trying to keep up to the standards. But the teacher, is the teacher lost, or is the teacher trying his or her level best to compete with the standards? Because we know of late, the if we just move and analyze what's happening at home at times, it's only the younger generation who tell us how to be tech savvy or how to even use a smartphone. They were the ones who taught us what to do. And now, where they stand with all their gaming exposure, this, that, and everything, it's like happening. But one thing is, where is the teacher? Is the question that keeps looming. Is she there just as a facilitator, or is she there just to monitor the exam, just to see whether there is malpractice? Something else, the gap is, maybe when we were kids, we had something called a moral class or a moral period. I don't know, maybe I belong to old school. I talk from that point of view, wherein we had a moral class. When I say moral class here, at this juncture, it may even again sound as trying to be judgmental. No, not that. I'm not talking about moral policing or trying to fix up some morals. It's all about values. So I personally feel a teacher, whatever, irrespective of whatever qualifications they have, whatever awards they have got, they need to undergo a training on soft skills, or what you call social skills. Student oriented training is a must. This is something that I have observed, because maybe we are also part of it, where we are not able to handle this millennials. We somehow find it very difficult. Not technically, it's fine. We could, but on the emotional level, are we able to reach up to them? Are we able to understand their world? And once when that comfort zone is created, education becomes possible. Education in the sense, not just making great carriers, creating human beings. At this point, I would really like to, I just came across a quote which was really surprising. I would like to quote now. I quote, technology is just a tool. In terms of getting the kids working together and motivating them, the teacher is most important. And you'll be surprised to know whose words are these. Bill Gates has said this, the person whom we look to for all technological advancement. Because you cannot see, it's true that online teaching, everything enables, we can get courses because of MOOC and other things. We do keep upgrading ourselves in the world. It's globalized. You can learn even from Harvard University. All that is possible. But then the teacher's role is something that's very prominent. And in spite of all the technological advancements and training that you give your teachers, they must undergo how to handle this generation. Maybe one simple example is, it's, I don't know whether it's fortunate or unfortunate, most of our students or single, is they have a single child syndrome in them. When they just come and get connected with others, are they prepared for that? Or are they being just selfish when it comes to grades and other things? Is the teacher able to bridge this gap? Where
I think,
does
yeah, please continue. Please.
so this
Very
is my
interesting.
question. This is where I want to just put a question and ask. The teacher should first understand the emotional, because of late we talk about emotional quotient, emotional intelligence and all that. But why are they, see, obviously think of a scenario. Now we are all empowered. We have a lot of things to take care of. We are happy our kids are tech savvy, but how much time do we spend with them in making them understand what is the value system? So it's not just about getting placed or getting into a better college. So what am I going to give back to my society? For that, the
Very
teacher should be
true.
empowered to instill this in the student mind. So how it could be done, you educators should really think about it, because that is my point here.
So what I can gauge through is that when we talk about what do you think is required to empower the teacher workforce, at the hem of it lies the teacher motivation. Somewhere for ages, generations now, teaching as a vocation has been the second or the third choice of the individuals and not the first choice. And once we start making it our first choice, and for that, I feel a lot of incentivization, which other professions have, was missing. And for example, rewarding with incentives, with not just the monetary pay packages, but also with the kind of trainings and the freedom to function. These things become very important. And second thing, what I personally feel, because it was such an interesting conversation, so I thought, let me just little dive into this, that somewhere the teacher trainings has been kept on a very, at a very, very basic level. They have not ever had that opportunity, like, parallelly as your years in the profession grow, your capacity, your empowerment should also grow. These kinds of trends have been now recognized. They were never, like last 20, 25 years, we've been actually talking about teacher training. Some buzz was creating about the teacher empowerment. Now, last 10 years, teacher training has, become very important, but very, very debatable. We don't even know what are the parameters on which this, thankfully, the national education policy now, as I mentioned earlier, has mandated 50 hours of CPD. But then again, it should not tantamount to a checklist. Teachers should be given, it shouldn't be, because I'm hearing that CBSE or others, there are wonderful initiatives have been taken, but one after the other one, they need to be given that kind of time and space in the structure where they can pursue their own empowerment, the freedom to explore new pedagogies, undertake researches. There we need to kind of, so yes, thank you so much, Ms. Kavita. It was really insightful.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Kuhita, our second panelists have been able to join. There was some technical issue with, I think, the other panelists,
I apologize. There's some technical issue because of which Miss Datta is just dropping out, but she's trying to reconnect again. So
okay, no problem. That's fine. We move on. I wouldn't mind if anybody from the the participants also can join in, because they are all educators, and this session is about empowering the teacher workforce and what are their needs, what are the gaps in the system. But before that, I would like to move on again to Ms. Kavita with another question. And Miss Kavita, yes. So this was about that. I read a report titled of 2021 State of Education Report for India. And it said that no teacher, no class, finds that teaching profession is, sadly, which we need to agree, is a very gender balanced, with women accounting for about 50% of the teaching workforce. Teaching is such a beautiful profession, but it has been branded as a very feminist kind, and especially when we look at the urban rural variations with early childhood educators, special education, and private unaided school sectors, which are highly feminized. And there is also a disturbing shortage of over 1 million teachers in schools, in India, according to a recent UNESCO report, which also means that 30% of the current teaching workforce will need to be replaced. How do we meet this challenge? Do you think there has to be a change in the mindset? Is it the professions, why it is not being proactively adopted by the men force? What are the gaps? Where do you see the gap here?
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, I understand, to see it as even a gender-based issue, right? Uh, Maybe there is something that in our mindset, it's all about our mindset, empowering women. Initially, we remember, like, once a girl, when she goes for completes her graduation, she can become a school teacher. That's the mindset. And people thought that this teaching profession will be suitable for women. I'm not sure. But then now when we look into it, as you see, especially in the school category, no, as you said,
Yes.
maybe I see it as more of the remuneration, the financial satisfaction that men do not get. No, it's my maybe after B.Ed or M.Ed, maybe they're not everyone is able to get into a government sector. Obviously, the things that is entirely a totally different topic. Maybe when you say, for example, in a family, let's say if a school teacher is getting somewhere around 20,000, for example, maybe a male is not happy as a breadwinner of a family with that. Maybe that is not really attractive, one thing. In one observation, maybe the remuneration is not quite attractive, or it's not motivating. And one more thing, as we were discussing, the patience and the connect to handle this generation. So it's not only just the pedagogical setup that tells us. Uh, Maybe sometimes long back we had a thought, like, it's just my opinion. Even when we register for higher studies, people would say there would be a different kind of an opinion. If it's a female research, when I'm going to join under a female guide, I may have a tough master, whereas a male teacher would be kind of comfortable working with. That was a mindset some 10 years back when we were planning for PhD research and all that. And maybe this kind of the stuff mastery, the skill set, maybe it suits women better, or men may not, they don't want to take a chance. The passion to handle, or it can be a reflection of what's happening in the family too, to some extent. I'm not generalizing. There are exceptions, of course. Taking care of kids, it's kind of, at least teaching, it's 50%, you said. Maybe in the scenario, it's 70-30, or now it's becoming better. We should acknowledge it, but still, our, what, as you say, it's like it's there in our mindset, whether we'll be able to handle this generation. And that is a major point. But when you observe, I think in the international schools, the setup is slightly different. Maybe the ratio is better. Again, when we analyze the comfort, the remuneration or the payment, everything is totally different.
That is very well said. I also resonate with you on this thought, and I feel that is it also the then that becomes another debate. It's also the work-life balance, because there is so much diversification of work, division of work, like woman has to take care of the kids in the kitchen, and so the work-life balance has to be maintained. And probably that's why it is the women who opt, of course, that is not generalization I'm talking about, but still in many areas, and especially in rural areas, we see that this kind of a mindset does prevail. Here I would like to involve the participants as well. And I think Ms. Kuika is giving me some signals that somebody has raised their hand.
It's me,
That's
Kavita
you.
here.
Okay. Kavita,
No,
okay.
at this juncture, I just thought I'll share one thing from my personal experience. When I started my career long back in Chennai around the year 2005, if I remember it right, I happened to work in an institution which recruits only women candidates.
Okay. Oh, okay.
But it's a co-education institute. The director or the proprietor is a male. But the only reason is that they think women could be paid less and then can be trained better. I don't know what's the idea, but I could withstand only for 2 months in that institution. That's a different story. So they
The
do
wage
not recruit.
industry. Yeah.
In Chennai, in a college, in an arts and science college, this is the scenario. So you
Okay.
understand. So maybe they don't demand or they'll work. Maybe they don't take breaks. That's the mindset of. This is from the other side I'm presenting. But I know your question is obviously like why there is a difference in the interest towards the gender. Maybe.
Absolutely. We have
Thank you.
with us, I think, thank you so much. I would like to involve certain participants here, and I can actually see them writing so many. Yes,
In
Kuika, would
fact,
you want?
yes.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you for sharing, Ms. Kavita, from your experience. I believe all of us must have experienced this in some sort, in some form, as educationists, and which is why we would like to hear from our participants here as well. So we have with us Ms. Dr. Megha Sharma, Vice Principal, Awadh Public School, and we welcome her to speak on this and share her perspective as well.
Welcome, Miss Megha. Wonderful to
Thank you
hear
so
your
much, ma'am.
thoughts. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And first of all, my apologies for not being able to connect properly because I'm not keeping well. So I requested Kohika to please allow me to keep my camera off today. And in the next
sure.
session, I would love to be a part sincerely and more properly and in a more prepared manner.
For sure, for sure. Yes, all ears to you, Miss Megha. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was so wonderful to hear from you as well as Dr. Kavita. And since we are all in the same boat, and the participants have also been posting wonderful messages and questions, I would like to start my opinion with what Mr. MD Zerger has written in the chat box, that values are not taught, they are caught. A teacher is an embodiment of virtues, and for students, she is an ideal. And believe me, ma'am and sir, and all the participants who are there with us, this is so rightly worded by him. Because today, as an administrator, what I am observing is that education industry is on a downfall, and the only reason behind that is the loss of values and ethics among the teachers. Because the generation which is now coming and joining this profession is coming by chance, and they are not coming by choice, which which makes them very much different in their approach towards the whole idea that we are discussing over here. We can empower only those people who are passionate about what they are doing and what they are believing while they are doing.
Right.
And the
Very true.
ones who have already been into this profession for more than 10 years, 15 years, they have come into a comfort zone from where they refrain to come out.
Right.
And I would also here like to mention that yes, there are organizations, there are managements who believe that recruiting female teachers is a better option than male teachers. And what Kavita ma'am said, I could relate with it very well. Although the reason is not that what ma'am said, but in my organization also, I have 60% of female staff and 40% male staff. And the
So,
and the matter of the fact is, Divyani ma'am, that male staff usually doesn't want to be bound. They
yes,
want freedom in doing their
absolutely.
work, and they are actually not as sincere as the female teachers are. And they prefer, I mean, I don't want to hurt anybody's sentiments, or I don't want to
Yes,
offend the participants
yes,
who have joined us and are working into them, because I have met very wonderful principals also who are males, and they are doing wonderfully well and good. But the core idea, as we are discussing, the empowerment, they consider themselves to be self-empowered, and their focus is more on the side businesses rather than responsibly acting in school.
great, Megha. We'll pick you from here only. I have, because this is getting very interesting, and I have
Yeah.
Mr. Zerger,
Yes.
Zergar from here, from Srinagar. Welcome, Mr. Zergar,
Thank
and
thank you,
welcome
ma'am.
to this.
Thank you,
And
ma'am. In the very first instance, I wish you a very good evening. And let me start my deliberation with a big joke there. I have the teaching experience, please listen, 1 raised to power 45.
Wonderful, sir.
One
Wonderful.
way.
And when I
Wonderful.
say that my teaching experience is 1 raised to power 45, that means that I have been doing the same thing
Same
which I
thing for
did on the
45
very
years
first
now.
year. And even then
Yes,
I boast that, well, I have 45 years of experience at my back.
experience.
I'm heading a private institute, one of the prestigious institute from Srinagar, Kashmir, Green Valley Educational Institute. And I attained superannuation as director academics, was exclusively in charge of developing the textbooks right from class 1st up to 12th. And now I will just share my humble opinion about this whole thing there. In the first instance, let me share my feeling that teachers are not made, teachers are born. And I'm reminded of one of the prestigious president of the Republic of the country, our country, APJ Abdul Kalam Azad. When he was there in Rashtrapati Bhavan, he had that inquisitive nature in him to learn things. Even when he was the president of the country, he would go to the children, he would mix with the children, and he would try to extract things and would learn even at that point of time. So my point is that teachers are not made or tailored, teachers are born. And I'll give my example that I had a very good job in bank, and I stayed in bank for 1 year, 1.5 years. Then I bunked from the bank with this notion that you have money everywhere, but not a penny of yours. And then one more thing is that, which I personally want to tell you, that this teaching profession is no more that non-lucrative as it used to be. It's a very lucrative profession, and people are paid rather than suffering the pangs of unemployment. People do come and they do take rest in private schools till they find a job. If they're born as teachers, definitely they would continue to be there in the profession. And if they feel
Correct, sir.
misfit there in the profession, they would definitely join some other profession there. And coming to the training part of the teachers is that, well, I personally feel that there can't be one single rule for all the teachers world over, which will train the teachers. Every training has to be specific to the area.
Specific.
And
No one size fits for all. No one size fits
no
for
one
all.
size for
We'll
all.
come, absolutely. We'll come back to this, and we move
And
on to
one
our
more
next.
thing I just want to
Yes,
tell you, ma'am,
yes,
if you allow me, ma'am, if you allow me.
yes. Very briefly, yes. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
I tell you that, well, I have seen with the onset of the pandemic, if a teacher was not able to keep pace with the paradigm shift that the whole of the education system had undergone, the system has written the teacher off. The system has written the teacher out from the system. And it's the vibrancy of the system that allows a teacher to grow. If he doesn't grow, the system will write the teacher off. That was my observation. You go ahead with this. You go ahead
Great.
with.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Zerger, for being here. And we would like you to continue because we will look for more insights from you. My next question to Ms. J.S. Kavitha is that, correlating this, what we've been talking, with the low learning outcomes, according to government data of classes 3, 5, and 7, one of the UNESCO reports recommends improving the terms of employment of the teachers, revamping their working conditions in the villages and in certain areas, besides earmarking aspirational districts and recognizing teachers as the frontline workers. That becomes important. So while UNESCO's recommendations are very noteworthy, we see, this would be a very, very Herculean task. Now, my question to you is, and to other participants as well, but we are very short of time, so everyone has to be very brief, otherwise we will not be able to cater to more questions. So please, so Ms. Kavitha, first to you, would you suggest a 5-point program to improve the learning outcomes in students alongside improving educators' effectiveness? We did speak about the lapses, the gaps from motivation to less incentives, to ad hocism, to lack of trainings. Now, if we ask you to suggest us a 5-point program, what would your take on this be? Yes, ma'am.
So this is, as we said, what we were discussing. As I said, teachers are born, but now everything is situation oriented. We are all in a different scenario wherein we make a living out of teaching. Most of the places it's like that of late. Moving on from that, I would like to say it's more about training, and which should be made mandatory, and not just at the beginning of their career, but periodically, not as another stressful event wherein they'll be tested, or it's not that. It should be more of a practical oriented training. That's where I was talking about soft skill, which includes even the basic communication skills. Sometimes it's so pathetic. Teachers, they may be knowledgeable, but they may not be able to put forth what they really want to say. If the scenario exists in most of the rural places, maybe in some of the urban schools too, wherein the communication, starting from that, not only that, how do they handle this? That should be more of a exposure based practical training. And this is something to the level of teachers should be able to handle the role of a counselors too. Understanding, taking the cue from the student, whether, as I said, as the ma'am said, values could be caught, but from where will they catch it is the question again. We are not planning on teaching them the values, but they should have role models from where they can catch the values, wherein the teachers could be the best role models for them, because they spend most of the time there in the classroom. So I would say, if not exactly a 5-point thing, I would just say, as educators, you may have something like the training that could happen periodically based on the students that, as you said, in the primary level may have a different need, the middle school and the higher, they may have different needs. Based on that, it should be totally a need based training. The insistent more on value based. Value, when I say value, again I want to insist, I'm not talking about morals. Value here is that my usefulness to the society as a human being is how do you impact.
Very well said. Very well said. Very so. Values, not just in the moral values, of course, they are imbibed, that is our cultural heritage, but also as in effectiveness to the society, what you give back to the society. Very quickly, Mr. Zerger, what would you perceive? And then I will move also on to Ms. Megha Sharma. Maybe two such points where you feel to improve student learning outcomes alongside with improving the teacher effectiveness in the classroom, which is going down. All the focus is on marks and numbers. So somewhere, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, two things, ma'am, you pointed out. One is that teaching this learning outcomes. My experience tells me that if we set the target very clear and then we pursue those targets at the middle level, only up to the middle level I'm talking about. And if we cater to the educational requirements of our learners properly in the middle department, I'm sure that, well, the rest of the sail of a student will be smooth. I have seen that whatever the learning gaps take place, it's mostly in the middle department. And what happens, these learning gaps have snowballing effect afterwards. If we have some learning gap in, say, class 5th, or it becomes more chronic in class 6th, and becomes more chronic in class 7th, and it becomes almost irreparable in class 8th. And this learning gap, it has as I said, that it has a snowballing effect. So the best thing is, to my mind, that we have to address to the learning gaps at in the middle department, and we have to concentrate in the most efficient way in this department and see to it that whatever is transacted in the classrooms is not only understood, is lived by the students there. So there's a difference in understanding and in living. I personally feel that we have to make our learner live whatever we teach them, rather than making them understand. When I say that we want our children to live what we teach them, is that they have to have the concept of the things, they have to have the analytic understanding of the things, they must be able to apply the knowledge that they have learned to the real life situation. And once this thing is done, I'm sure that, well, they will have a very smooth sail up to even the PG and the postdoctorate degree. This is the very cruel and crucial area where, as heads of the institutions, where teachers have to concentrate. The second thing, as I said, what was the second question, ma'am, that you said? Could you please?
Yeah, so how to, so learning gaps you said. Second is how to ensure teacher effectiveness in the classroom.
Yeah,
that is the question by many panelists, by many participants.
This has been a problem with me. And you see, ma'am, I share again. I'll rely on my own personal experience. I personally feel that however efficient, however proficient, however ace a teacher I may be, both in terms of content and in the mechanism of the delivery of the content, I cannot retain, it's not humanly possible to retain the attention of a student for more than 8 minutes or 7 minutes. A student's imagination runs amok in the class or even in the virtual class. It's not possible. I don't have a magic with me wherein I can retain the attention of all the students there. And I know when I was a student myself, my teacher would try to teach me in the best possible way. But I used to be there in some garden at the top of some mountain there enjoying life. And with a jerk, I'll be back in the class. And what happens is that whatever is transacted in between, I miss that. And I use it to feel like telling my teacher, sir, I missed it. Not because that I did not understand it, because that my imagination ditched me and I was somewhere else, not in the class there. But I would feel that there are other students and they will rank me as a dunderheaded guy, as a below average student, as a below average learner. So therefore, I would not utter the question and I will not request the teacher to repeat it. Otherwise,
I would
please.
like to mention that it also becomes important that the teacher needs to always throw challenging situations and create the class in a way where it becomes meaningful to the students.
Sure,
The
ma'am.
student would only run away, and the effectiveness is not full effectiveness is not achieved if the teacher is only transacting what is given in the books. If she has to, as you said, the students are smarter, and they are, when it comes to usage of technology or looking for knowledge, they are a step ahead of the educators.
True, sir.
And
True,
so
ma'am.
the teacher has to always pose challenging situations and make the classroom very, very relevant for the child.
I'll share I'm continuing with my experience there. So whenever I was there in the class, I would cry at the top of my voice, and even at the top of my vocal cords, so that my voice enters into the soul of my students. And believe me, I'm not exaggerating. The first batch would put fingers in their ears because that eardrums would vibrate in that way. So I thought that by talking to them at the top of my voice would arrest their attention, and they will just listen to me. And then I
Let
divided.
us take a pause here and let's hear to what name, because we are only left with 10 more minutes. Let's hear what Miss Megha Sharma has to offer to us, that what is the way to create an effective educator
Teaching
in the
learning
classroom.
atmosphere.
Teacher learning atmosphere. Is
Thank you
ma'am
so
there?
much, ma'am. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
but
here,
you
ma'am.
just
I'm
have a
here.
minute. Yeah, about 2
Yeah.
minutes. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I have shortlisted this to two things. One is skills, and the second is value, which can be further divided into 5 points. That is create, convey, correlate, correct, and collect. Create, as in you create an atmosphere of learning. You convey the same aim of the classroom on that particular day, such that the students are able to correlate it with their real life and their surroundings along with the textbook. Then you ask them and correct them if you find any deviation in what you have explained and what they have comprehended, and then collect this data and then try to create the classroom in a different manner next day. If we perform
Excellent.
this
Excellent.
if we perform this activity on daily basis, every day our classroom will be a totally different place for the children. Now,
Very well said. Very well said.
thank you so much.
May I, ma'am, add just a line to it?
Sir, let
Yes,
ma'am
sir,
finish.
please.
Let ma'am finish. Let ma'am finish first. Yes,
Okay.
Miss Megha. Yes.
And in order to create this classroom, the skill set that we look forward to in a teacher, which she should be well imbibed with, includes passion. Only then she will take that extra effort of doing this. Compassion. She will involve the students and sensitize them such that they also take equal interest in the efforts that she is making to make the class more interesting. Empathy, because without empathy, she won't be able to understand the psychology of the child. And it is very important in the present scenario and the scenarios that we have had in the past to empathize, because that gives you an edge over other teachers when it comes to student interaction, because then they feel comfortable in sharing their things with you, and from there you can pick up what you can take to your classroom and in what manner. Then next, worldview. That is, whatever we are doing, what future impact it is going to have on our students in their lives, because ultimately the ultimate goal that with which all of us are sitting here together is to make them a better human being and not just fill their minds with whatever is written in the textbook. So that
Very
needs to be
true.
very important. And
Yes,
finally,
and
the
I will.
insight. And
The
finally,
insight.
insight is the fifth skill that the teacher needs to have. Until and unless the teacher will be insightful, she won't be able to create or do any of the things that she actually wants to.
I think
These
very
three,
well. Miss Megha has just put in a roadmap, and to all our viewers, that there is a roadmap. We've been talking about the 5 C's in terms of the 5 skills of collaboration, creativity, etc.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
21st
Correct,
century
correct.
skills. But today, she has penned down the 5 C's as create, convey, correlate, and collect. The 5 C's that she has put in very well. Then, yes, Mr. Zerger, very quickly, just in 1 minute. I have the
Yeah,
time is running.
thank you,
1
ma'am.
minute you have.
In
Yeah.
addition to what Ms. Megha said, I have decided that I have directed my worthy educators that, well, don't teach the students the way you have been teaching them in 2020 and 2021. I have come up with a mechanism that you give them the investigative projects. By investigative projects in all the subjects, they give them the topics, they give them the websites, they give them the material that they have, and then the teacher comes in the live classroom, and then it is the roles are reversed. A teacher
Yes.
listens
True.
most of the time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We have here Miss Archana Gupta, I can see in the chat box, and from Lamartine Girls College, Lucknow. And she says that, Miss Archana, I'm giving you 30 seconds. Would you want to, quicker, can you unmute Miss Archana if she has to make a very quick comment on that? Because they are all participants. None of them is panelists, so they can. So let us get, thank you, Mr. Zerger and Megha. Let's move on.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
It was
Good
regarding
evening.
the discussion that why we have more female teachers in this field than male teachers. So I worked for a very short span of time in a co-ed school, and now I'm working in Lamartine Girls, which is totally all girls school. So we have male staff only in the office. We don't have male staff teaching the students. So the main reason for this is that basically the parents, they feel that with the female teachers, the children are safe. Whether it is a boy or a girl, this is the thinking of a society. Irrespective of the child being a boy or a girl, every parent feels that with the female staff, the children are safe, and with the male staff, the children are not safe. So again, we come back to one discussion that we had, that moral values are required for the teachers also. Some of us have brought a bad name to our profession. So we have to have very high moral values. So yes, we are discussing money. Yes, we are discussing salary part. But those who chose this profession, they should think beyond money and salary, which is important. I don't disagree with that. But apart from that, as teachers, we should have passion of changing the world of our students. The children are dependent on us. We have to show them the future, which should be in the right.
Very true and very, very well said. And I think this has been by far one of the best sessions where we have the various participants coming and deliberating on empowering the teacher workforce, because at the end of the day, it is all about empowering ourselves.
Yes,
and my next question to Ms. Kavita, JS Kavita, is Ms. Kavita here, is that
Yes,
it's again, it's again related question, and we see that teacher appraisal is perhaps the most underdeveloped, but also the largest missing piece in the system of the teacher management, right? Because either the appraisals are not per se the prevailing market industry guidelines, or they are too routine based that everybody is put in, as Sir said, one size doesn't fit all. What is expected of a teacher remains actually ambiguous. We don't even know. We don't do the need analysis. That is very important. When we talk about empowering the teachers, it shouldn't be that one workshop and everybody we have to make a need-based analysis of each teacher and then ensure that there is profiling and that kind of teacher training they undergo. However, in the absence of clear expectations by way of teaching learning process, learning outcomes, and nurturing a non-discriminatory environment for children, teacher appraisal remains an undefined and a very, very weak area. And that is also a reason to lack of an effective appraisal system and effectiveness of the teachers. Means that teachers get no feedback. I mean, the vice principals and the head teachers who are here, I would also address them. What is the kind of feedback that goes to their teacher? So they get no feedback on how they are performing, and thus no guidance on what their professional development needs are. And hence system administrators cannot design or contract for necessary training programs. How do we then address, how do we create a well chalked out circular end-to-end procedure here, from the non-effectiveness to the right kind of training that the teacher gets? Yes, ma'am. And this is the last question that I'm taking today. Yes.
Hope I'm audible, ma'am.
Yes.
Here you will talk about this appraisal and why is it not effective, and you asked me about like being non-effective to effective. Instead of going into the nuances of appraisal and all that, I would just like to throw it again as a question. There I'm going to stop. Wherein, as ma'am said, they're given create and the scope for creativity, how they take it forward. My question is this: when we talk about creativity from the teacher side, is there absolute autonomy given to the teacher? Or do we appraise them, or do we scale them based on the fixed norms that already exist? That makes a vast difference in my observation. So when we expect them to be creative, innovative, and adhere to the needs of the generation that keeps looming in front of us, are we giving them the autonomy that they need? Is that being encouraged in schools? Then this might change the entire system of appraisal in my point of view. So maybe
So
that
I
is
think
one
that,
reason.
yeah.
That is one reason for appraisals. We talk about 180-degree, 360-degree appraisals, and we know what is really happening. That a teacher is totally unaware of what's happening, like the process, because I don't know how many of the institutes they have this transparency in letting the person who's been appraised being aware of what happens. Or is there a chance for improvement based on the appraisal?
Let
So
us
these are
hear
my
this
two
out
questions.
from. Great, Kavita ma'am. We have Dr. Manju Anand, CMS Gomti Nagar, and let's hear what she has to say. Yes, Miss Manju Anand, are you there?
Yes, I am there.
Yeah. So, how would you like to contribute in this discussion of teacher appraisals and the missing gap in teacher effectiveness being the right kind of feedbacks, the right kind of appraisals happening amongst the feedback given to the educators? And that somewhere boils down to non-effective teaching learning outcomes. Yes, ma'am.
First of all, I'm very happy to hear all of you, because even I have a very long career of teaching. Next year is my retirement. And so I got this opportunity to teach in IIT, IIM, Montessori, in nursery, KG, junior, seniors, everywhere. And just one thing, one mantra I have found in my life, because being multilingual, so I used to teach French, German, Russian also, and English also. So now the thing is that appreciation. One mantra I found in all classes, that we need appreciation, for a true appreciation, not that we are doing that, oh, you are very good and this and that, and the person is not really. I mean, the thing is that just teacher has to identify one thing in the child, a little thing, and appreciate that, to create. I have been writing this in chat box. I didn't know that whether I'll be getting time to say it or not, because I've done my PhD also in education and the longitudinal study with many of the children, and I found the same thing. that so many children are there and so many activities are there. As Mr. MD Zerger also said that that we have to identify and we have to see that teacher, it is in the hand of teacher only to identify, to create platform, to give them encouragement to participate, to accept their first nervousness and the kind of stage fright he has. As early as possible he should be facing that, and then appreciate a little bit, and the appreciation goes a long way. And that appreciation, the child is very happy. Just now if I say that Devyani Kapoor ma'am is really speaking so well, so many intelligent questions and Kavita ma'am, oh my god, she has, and actually she has given such thought provoking sentences and all. We also feel good, and then we also feel encouraged. Yes, we are going to do better next time. So these are children, small children. The only as catalyst we have to identify the hidden talent, the hidden potential, or a little bit whether he is good in art or he is good in singing or he is good in something or the other thing. And we have to create that kind of platform. And that is very easy if we correlate, as you all are saying, that if we correlate the study, the text matter to the real life situation and give them opportunity. Okay, you create something, because the students we are teaching, they're very difficult because they know a lot. We have to be very, very careful. We have to be very, very prepared because they know a lot. They know everything. We did not have in our times the Google God. They know everything. The moment you ask something, they know. So how to cope with them? Yes, they know why. But the kind of knowledge they have to create platform is in our hand, the teacher's hand. And then to appreciate and to expose their appreciation and to expose their little performance to everyone, you will see the change. That is how I have seen that there is a change, number one. Number two, that of course somebody said that passion and compassion, obviously that is the basic thing. Empathy, compassion, passion, they are the tools of the teacher. They have to be carried with the teacher every time. Like a soldier can't go without their tools, the teacher cannot go without these tools, because they are. And for this appraisal and all, once you do all these things, your best inspection is done by your own student. You start getting that kind of respect from the students. You can become the Shabana Azmi of chalk and duster kind of picture that was shown. The things will be coming, but the best parents are there. They always look forward that there should be some teacher who is looking after all these things. One more thing which was very good, that you were just correlating it with the future endeavors. Yes, because they want to go and get admission in Ivy League colleges and all. And the Ivy League colleges, they actually there are 99 percenters, hundreds of them, and they have the seats suppose 20. So where are you creating your students as a unique person, that amongst those 99 percenters, my student is really something different? So there comes, that is what the very first question I was asking, that how can we integrate these internships into it? Because in 11th and 12th, 9th onwards, we need to create, the kind of leadership quality, and because they need to have such evidence, such anecdotes, such certifications in their future, where they are being evaluated. What have you been doing in the school? So if they have good teachers, they have got some opportunities, so they are going to get into those colleges also. So that way also it is good. And for life skill also, it is very important that the skills and the kinds of the latest C's which are created by one of the teachers, the create, convey and all, that was really wonderful. So that is what I wanted to say, that we have to be very, because new education policy is saying the same thing. And as Mr. MD Zerger said, that teachers are born. So where are we going to recognize? That means in the middle school, as he said, that in the middle school only we are going to recognize their own vocational through this mantra which I am telling you. And then you come to know that yes, he can be a good singer, he can be because now we are going to have the subjects also, like we are just merging everything. So if we are very careful about the new challenges, we teachers, we need to be trained somehow. Although we are born teachers, but We need to be trained somehow, trained in the methodology, how we are going to impart our compassion and take out the best out of the other. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ms. Manju Anand. I think that was such a cherry on the cake. And we need to realize that the 21st century has brought in so many changes. And as I earlier said, that it has touched education in a big way. Teacher training is the most pertinent issue in today's education system. If we need 21st century students, we need to hone our teachers with the 21st century skills. Koika will be taking, showing a video, a small video before we conclude. Yes, Koika.
Devyani ma'am, I want just 1 minute after the video finishes. Please, just 1 minute. Ma'am, it's not audible. We cannot hear the sound of the video.
It's still not audible. It's still not audible.
Yes, ma'am, it is still not audible.
It's still not audible.
Please allow me to reshare.
Devyani ma'am, till then, can I say something?
Audio
Yes.
is missing, ma'am.
I just want to add to what I was saying earlier regarding the teachers training, because that is the theme of our today's webinar, that teachers training is of course very important, and we can only ensure it if we follow the traditional approach of the rule book, that is teach, observe, correct and repeat. That is, we need to sensitize them or we need to train them. Then we should observe them, that whatever they have been trained for, are they using those techniques in the classroom or not? If we find any deviation again, we should correct them. And then this process needs to be repeated till the time we are sure that yes, it has now come into their system. Because if we leave it on them, then wherever we'll go or pass by the class, we'll find them doing it, and the moment we are out of it, they'll stop doing it. So if we want this to be a continuous process, we will need to keep our observations also continuous.
I think this is a very good tip for the managements and the school heads. Teach.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Ms. Megha Sharma. Koika, can we play the video or do I conclude the session?
Thank you so much, Devyani ma'am, for this last 1 minute.
Always there for educators, always there. It
Thank
is your
you.
show after all. Yeah. Yes, Koika, can we have the AV, please?
The 21st century is all about skilling, upskilling, and reskilling yourself if you wish to remain relevant and stand tall in front of a 21st century student. Edudevs brings to you Edu Empower, a series of workshops to empower the 21st century educator.
making them fill the reflection sheets, whether it is self-reflection or it is content reflection or it is activity reflection, and that becomes very important. And
to be educated. Why are we all here, first of all? So please quickly answer. And here we can see
give an adjective to describe that picture or that painting. All right, give an adjective to describe the painting of Mona Lisa. The students can either take up the role of a teacher and tutor other students, or they can be asked to create videos demonstrating the understanding.
Let's come to the issues age-wise, group-wise, and after which we will move towards our activity. But before that, let's pick up some more skills.
Thank you so much, Gurika. The Indian reality is quite unique. Teachers are expected to play a diverse role in the school, in classrooms, and in the community as well. While the RTE has certainly emphasized the teaching function of teachers, a lot more needs to be done to clarify, to clearly define the roles and responsibility of the teachers and insulate them from tasks that divert them from their primary responsibility of teaching. Support and supervision are effectively the two sides of the same coin. But the hard reality is that the teachers in our schools are neither supported nor supervised, thereby affecting the effectiveness of the schooling system. It may be fair to say that the learning crisis that we are experiencing today could, among other reasons, be attributed to this ambiguity. For teachers to perform effectively, they must know that there are systems in place to protect their professional interests and aspirations. The government of India could initiate a nationwide dialogue on grievance redressal mechanism by drawing upon good practices in different states and encourage states to adopt these good practices. Similarly, schools in a community could have the best practices sharing, meetings, and organize regular workshops, webinars, and seminars to popularize this idea. We'll be back with some more interesting deliberations soon. If you want us to discuss a particular theme or have a suggestion, do write to us at info@edudevs.com. If you want to become mentor at Edudevs, you can again write to us at info@edudevs.com. Thank you so much to all our panelists, participants. We will come back soon with yet another pertinent issue of deliberation. Thank you so much.